afternoon, everybody. My name is Sarah Cruz. I am a quality advisor for NJSAC, the New Jersey Afterschool Network. And today we are in our Lunch and Learn, which is a part of our month-long Celebrate After School Outdoors in the Garden State series. So for the month of May, we encourage all after-school programs to make sure that you're doing things and telling people about the awesomeness that you are, specifically by getting kids outside, connecting them to nature, making them aware of their environment. So every Wednesday this month, we've had presentations for lunch. This is the last one of the month. I'm very excited to welcome Tenisha Malcolm from the Nature Conservancy to our Lunch and Learn call. Thank you for the introduction, Tenisha Gibbs. And I hope there's a lot of 21st century providers. I see you on the call, and some others that have joined us as well to learn about what Tenisha and the Nature Conservancy are bringing to us. So if you have not joined in a Wednesday so far, we will be providing those experiences recorded so that you can go back and watch. We did something on summer meals. We did a tour of our executive director, Jayan Jenko's garden. And every Friday we've put out an after school flash, which has things that you can do with your kids to connect them to nature in their immediate surroundings or take trips, and nature fun facts and things like that. Hopefully you've seen them, or you'll go back and see them and use them in your programs. So it brings us to welcome, Tenisha. It is so nice to have you. We've been talking a lot and planning for this call, so I'm excited that we're here today. So welcome. Tell us, tell us your role and about the Nature Conservancy.
Sure. So thank you again for the invitation. Appreciate you, Tenisha, for connecting me with NJSAC. And Sarah, I'm really honored to be with you all during this lunch hour. And as Sarah said before, like, this is a really chill atmosphere. If you came with your lunch, eat it. I am being kind, and I'm gonna have my manners executed by not eating my lunch in front of you. I ate before this. Me
neither. The two of us will talk, they eat.
But I really am honored and pleased to join you all for the last session of this series. It feels like a really nice way to kind of round out the series of discussions that you've had thus far. So I am the Director of Cities Programs for the Nature Conservancy New Jersey chapter. The Nature Conservancy is a global organization. We are in 77 countries across the globe and all 50 states across the United States. And our mission is really to protect the lands and waters on which all life depends. We've been doing this work for about 60 years, and we've been working in New Jersey for about the same period of time. The organization has spent many, many years preserving those lands and waters in communities that are in rural parts of the state, not always serving urban environments, brown, Black, or Indigenous communities. And in the New Jersey chapter in particular, most recently took on the, I would say, audacious task for the New Jersey chapter, because again, it is something brand new for us, of working in cities. The Nature Conservancy across the US and even in other countries have been doing this work for about 7 or 8 years now, doing some really deep dive thinking around what it means to work in cities, and making sure that there's connectivity in those spaces and doing the work of conservation in a very equitable and diversified way. So I was brought on to do just that, and I'm excited to be a part of the organization.
Thank you for that background. Again, the Nature Conservancy is an organization that I don't think I'm very familiar with. So the fact that they're being specific about putting resources into New Jersey, I think is important, and I think we should take advantage of it. So you're protecting lands and waters, and you also are teaching people about the importance of caring for their environment. That's something super important for us to teach children. Why? Why is it important to talk about environment and outdoors, and what is the connection for children?
Yeah, certainly. So, I mean, we're surrounded by nature, from the air we breathe to the water we drink to the places that we walk, the places that we play, the places that we fellowship. And it is a contributing factor to everything that I think is good for our soul. So it maintains our mental health, and supports our quality mental health. It supports our physical being, and having clean and vibrant spaces for us to utilize, activating those spaces and having a safe space to want to enjoy the outdoors. It's also just, it's super important to make sure that young people and families, and making it an intergenerational experience, are able to explore. The exploratory part, I think, is the most exciting, because one of the things that I personally have experienced is the plethora of opportunities that exist in this space that are often untapped, particularly with job opportunities or just experiences, and the minimal amount of participation from communities that look like me, or places where I am from. It is important to me that they are connected to all of those things that exist, and not get missed, or those opportunities get untapped because of unawareness or limited access. So it is also super important to make sure that the work that I'm doing, when we talk about doing it in an equitable fashion, making sure that families, schools, and young people have easy access to those exploratory experiences.
Can you talk specifically about some of those experiences? Like, what opportunities are we missing? What should we be thinking about as we go into planning for summer?
Yes.
Especially now, since like COVID, post-COVID, we definitely need to be outside more, just
Totally.
because, and now we have this great opportunity here. So talk to me specifically, or talk to us about what we need to be doing.
So there are so many opportunities that are right at our fingertips that I don't even think we realize exist. Something as simple as walking out on your block or in your neighborhood, spending some time and just looking and observing at things like trees, paying attention to the birds, the rare species of birds that may be in your backyard or in your local park, or, I mean, in some places they are just the most random birds I find on the small shrubbery that I have in front of my home. So the exploratory experiences on that front of things that you can do right in your neighborhood. And then there are many hiking trails, and there are many like ambient walking tours that you can take in local county parks.
What's an ambient walking tour?
Ambient walking tour. I'm sorry, I'm using nature jargon here, right? So ambient walking tours are where you are walking and you are not necessarily using just your eyes to see, but you're using your ears to hear. So there's those sensory tactics that are incorporated in a lot of those experiences. They're free. The thing that sometimes we need to do better at is making sure we have access and transportation to some of those spaces, and that we're doing them in community and not doing these things independently, because sadly, sometimes these spaces are not always as welcoming to everyone. So we want to always make sure that that is something that we put at the forefront. Bird watching, I think I started to talk about, is a really simple example of doing that, from doing some up close and personal observations to just sit and watch, or even investing in binoculars and some kind of like reporter's notebook so that kids can observe and take note to some of the species that they're seeing. Separately, the Nature Conservancy does lots of work around citizen science work. So what that means is community members, kids in particular. Kids are the largest population for which we hope to engage, because they're willing to do anything. Like they will pick up a leaf and look under it, or pick up a log and explore, and not feel as creepy crawly as an adult who may get the heebie-jeebies over finding some odd creature crawling under there.
I am a little bit thinking about that. heebie-jeebies.
But
I'll do it for the kids.
Giving them the opportunity to become a citizen journalist, right? Or a citizen scientist, where they're going out to just observe and take note. Like, we've worked with different counties. I can give an example in Passaic County, where we work with the Friends of Garrett Mountain, which are not too far from William Patterson University. And there is a hiking preserve there that the Nature Conservancy stewards called High Mountain. And there's a partnership with the county and also some other community-based organizations. And they have something called BioBlitz. BioBlitz is where they work with volunteers with a special attention paid to young people to come out and to count the number of reptiles and other species that exist, from frogs to toads to salamanders and all kinds of random species that you would never think you'd find right like in the heart of downtown Patterson or on the outskirts of Patterson. So there's lots of opportunity to explore and learn. I have a coworker that's based down in the southern part of the state that does horseshoe crab counting. Horseshoe crabs are a rare species, but a very important species. The blood of horseshoe crabs actually played a part in some of the COVID vaccine. Like,
Really?
there's a whole medical connection to the blood of those horseshoe crabs, and they're drained. It's not a harmful process to support the science behind vaccine creation. But my co-worker's specific task is to go out there and count the number of horseshoe crabs that spawn on the Barnegat Bay. And that's an inventory that she does just to kind of get a sense of the preservation of them and their existence. And
I think I find, as you're talking about that's your coworker's job, that nature and being in nature and getting kids interested early can lead to jobs that are connected to their exploration. Who knew there was a job to count horseshoe crabs in Barnegat Bay?
I'll give you one better. I mean,
Yeah.
there's another person on our team that there's a special term for it. I cannot remember the exact terminology, but in layman's terms, she counted roadkill. And that was a task. It was a job that she was paid to do and contracted through a program that the state was running in partnership with the Department of Transportation to rethink how highways and byways were designed, and to ensure that they were not causing harm to the animals that were crossing over or under. So in order to understand how to do the redesign of that infrastructure, she had to count the frequency in which animals were being tragically lost.
I mean, it makes sense that is a level of information you would need to then go on to do the work.
So, yeah, so I mean, there's the science, there's the data, which incorporates math. There's the, the social science component of it. There's the community engagement elements of it. So it overlaps with so many different things. So the career possibilities are endless, and really incorporate all sorts of disciplines, which I think makes for a very not just unique place to work and be, but unique learning experiences, because who would have known that I would one day go out on a field trip with a coworker to count the roadkill on Route 280, right? Like,
well, I think for us, after school providers, something that's really important to us is exposure to lots of different things. So here you have this platform with the Nature Conservancy to bring to programs, not physically, but you have a resource, right?
Definitely.
That you can use with or share with the providers so that they can start to expose to children to these types of experiences. Talk about the Nature Conservancy's curriculum that is free, correct?
Yes.
Yes, okay.
So the Nature Conservancy has a curriculum called Nature Lab, and it's not, they've created the platform that could be used in class, but during COVID, they were able to kind of shift and adapt that so that it would have a virtual component. And it covers a series of things. There's some virtual field trip series that are incorporated in there. It's like a 4-part series that includes a teacher's guide. And it's appropriate for students ages 5 up to 18, with heavy focus on like understanding what changing climates are, how those things impact where people live. There is a virtual video with a field trip that gives comparisons of issues around heat islands that are faced in places like Phoenix, Arizona, in comparison to a place in China. So it also gives kids that global perspective as well to see the similarities of issues that exist in places around the globe.
So that's something, that's a resource we can probably drop in the chat
definitely
before we finish and people can get to.
Yeah, I'll definitely be sure to add it in there. Then there are some other elements that it focuses on around food and water sustainability, again, the climate change elements, the importance of building healthy cities and what that means and how young people can participate in making sure that they are contributing to a healthier, cleaner environment, and understanding what it means to protect land and water. So there are the series along with the curriculum that it's coupled with, in addition to some school garden resources if schools and young people are interested in like starting a community garden.
That's really great. So yeah. I hope that people tap in and utilize that resource. And there's a lot of buzzwords that you had said, and industry buzz, I don't know what you call it, but words that we all know from our grants and things like that, that I heard you say, that you have a resource that as providers we can use and fulfill what we need to bring to our kids. So I had an opposite question. Sure. What is I fear a little bit what would happen if we don't do these things. So what happens when we don't teach children about nature and conservancy? What would the future be like?
Yeah, the future would be pretty dark. That's just the truth. I think if we are not able to like front load ourselves with making sure that we are prepared for issues as it relates to climate change and other environmental factors that are harmful to us, our life expectancies may be shortened, health issues that we may experience may be exacerbated, access to cleaner water and preservation of green spaces may reduce. Like there's a series of things that we will be at a disadvantage at if we don't address and front load and pay closer attention and, you know, move towards action of making sure that we are part of the solution and less of the problem.
And I think people assume that they can't be a part of a solution and need more encouragement and understanding that everyone plays a role.
Definitely. And in addition to knowing that everyone plays a role, I think when people realize the direct correlation of these things to their everyday life is when they develop a deeper appreciation and understanding of it, and then feel a little bit more empowered to want to contribute to the solution. So, you know, in whatever form or whatever platform, it is always important to make sure that the issues that are being identified, they are in relation to a direct impact to the student population and probably even school population, so that folks can see, okay, if I am, you know, I don't know, littering. If I am littering and throwing my trash in the catch basin that's on my block, when it has a heavy downpour and it's now flooding my street, and now the basement in my building or my house is flooded, parts of the reason is because I threw the trash out on the street and it's building up, and maybe our street team or our DPW are not proactive about doing a regular cleanup. But have I not been contributing to that issue, we wouldn't have that problem, right? So it's not until you put into perspective that you've got inches of water in your basement, or like you're trying to get out your driveway and you can't because there's these huge puddles. It's not until we are experiencing that problem, we got to backtrack it and look at like, well, what's the cause of it? How did we even get to this place? Oh, I threw my trash there. And
So I think that's a really relatable thing, trash and littering. And I was just on a call prior and we were talking about how we need to get back to basics. And that is a basic principle. Give a hoot, don't pollute. That wasn't the Nature Conservancy, right? That wasn't your motto, but I remember it. It was really an emphasis on not polluting. And I feel like that's an easy place for after school programs to start. So if you were an after school program and you just know you wanted to dip into nature, and because you know that it's important, where would you even begin? Like, what's a place for programs who are not necessarily nature specialists or don't feel like they're experts? Where do we begin?
Yeah, so I would say you begin by talking to your audience. Your audience is going to inform the directions in which your programs and services can go. And I think when you speak to the audience for which you're serving, you get examples like what I just shared around litter and flooding, right? So you can start with like assessing and doing a little bit, almost like a stakeholder engagement with your audience. And in this case, it would be your after school participants. Young people have opinions, young people have thoughts, young people have voices and brilliance. You just have to ask them. And I think one of the things that sometimes providers tend to do is create these programs the way they want to create them without seeking the insight, expertise, and intellect of the people that they're serving. So I think step one is to definitely engage with your audience. Step two, I think, is to do a really robust or comprehensive assessment of what is happening in your local community and identifying community partners that may have the expertise that a provider may not have. So a person like me, right? Like, here is the Nature Conservancy that is a resource, and I'm extending of myself to all of you. There may be others in my network that are in a position to do things that maybe the Nature Conservancy either doesn't focus on or does not have strength in, that I would want to connect you all to, right? So the collaborative nature and essence of knowing who your audience is, identifying the key assets in your community and leveraging those to really bolster what you're trying to accomplish is the second. And then I think thirdly, the implementation of it doesn't lose your first two steps. So the implementation still incorporates the active voices and participation of your audience. And it also includes the active voices and participation of your community partners. It makes it comprehensive, it makes it sustainable, and it actually provides and delivers a tangible product that meets the needs for everyone.
I can tell you're a community organizer, and those 3 steps would apply to any situation that you're building programs. And I think that I really appreciate that. Thank you. And just from my provider brain, and I think about the summer, I'm thinking, yes, you have to start from what the children want, because then you're going to get the most engagement, and then base everything else off that.
Right.
So now I'm a provider and I've met the Nature Conservancy and I want to go further. What do I do? Can I reach out to you? Like, what resources do you have beyond the curriculum or directly day to day that people can tap into?
So yes, you can reach out to me, as I feverishly type my email address in here. And I'm putting my cell phone number in there as well. I generally respond to text. So text me first and I will respond to an email. But yeah, the Nature Conservancy's curriculum is one element by which we can be, or I can be supportive, but just in general, I think who I am as a person, I've got a pretty wide network. And if I don't know the answer, I know someone else in my network that does. And if I don't know someone directly, then they know somebody else. So it's like the telephone game, and I will find you an answer by hook or crook. and I'm going to connect you and plug you into the right persons you need to speak to. And if I can't do it, then I'm going to say I can't do it. But there are a couple people on this call who I think know me well enough to know that I stay true to my word, and happy to always make those cross collaborative partnerships and connections in order to ensure that those needs are met. So if it's something the Nature Conservancy cannot do, know that Tenisha Malcolm, separately aside from the Nature Conservancy, will definitely try to make the effort to make it happen.
So thank you for that. And I'm just thinking next, like we have people who are part of our after school network across it's 21 counties, right? Not 23, I'm sorry. But if I were just like in my county, I wanted to find something very local to get started. What are some places that you would suggest people call, look into?
Sure. So in just about every city, if not every county, there generally is an environmental commission. Most municipal governments are expected to have some kind of community stakeholdering around environmental commission and environmental issues. So I would recommend contacting the local city just to see if there's any existence of that. That may be one place to tap into. And then there's a plethora of nonprofit organizations with environmental focus across the state. You have the Audubon Society, you have Clean Water Action, you have, oh boy, Ironbound Community Corporation, Greater North Conservancy, New Jersey Future. Like there are several that exist, and a good old Google search, if you type up environmental organizations across the state, will give you a list. I can't think of all of them off the dome. I'm just calling out those that I can think of. But I definitely would encourage checking out local government entities and inquiring if there is an environmental commission or even like a 4-H club. Sometimes local universities, Rutgers, I think, offers like a Master Gardener program and also has a 4-H club. Sierra Club is another one. The county parks sometimes also have opportunities. I know for sure Essex County has a large environmental center that also has some other volunteer opportunities and just free educational services that they offer for folks interested.
People don't need to do this in a silo in their programs at all. There's so many things to tap into.
Totally.
For kids. And I think just from our conversation, I know that I hope that people understand the importance and will take some of these tips and tools and try to bring them back into their programs in some way. I'm wondering if anybody has any questions or wants to drop them in the chat or some things that they heard that would be helpful or they want to know more about. I think that, again, knowing the Nature Conservancy as a now global, I was saying it was just here. I didn't realize it was global. There's a lot of roots and things that we should be connecting to so that we can bring it to our program at no cost. That's really valuable. So I heard of a lot of things, like it's important to help kids become stewards of the environment to preserve our, lands for the future, that there's so many connecting opportunities here in terms of career, community building, things like that. Am I missing a third point of why this is important for us? Why is this important? Why should we be talking about this in our programs?
I think you surmised the things that I broke down earlier, but if I could kind of reiterate what was already said, I mean, the things that we are going to be doing as individuals and as humans occupying time and space on this earth are contingent on how we as individuals do that in a positive kind of way, because our survivability relies on it, right? We breathe, we drink water, we walk, we do all of these things in nature, and the survivability of ourselves and the preservation of ourselves is contingent on our ecosystems. The failed ecosystem results in failed issues with us, mentally, physically, spiritually. So be good to the environment, hug a tree when you can.
I definitely would agree with that. I think that this, again, just reiterates the points that we've been making all month about the importance of nature, outdoor play, and how it affects ourselves. It's self-care. Caring for the environment is actually self-care.
Totally.
And as providers, I think we can infuse that into our program in the self-care lens as well. So many benefits, so right outside of our windows, within cities and rural environments. We just can't neglect that nature exists, and we should be thinking about it on a regular basis and teaching our children about it as well.
Definitely. Couldn't have said it better. Nature's good to, nature makes an effort to be good to us. And I think we should practice that spirit of reciprocity and be equally as kind to it.
I love that. Thank you. So we don't have any questions in the chat, but we do have some resources being dropped in. And I know that Tenisha had put in the curricular resource that I hope everyone checks out using in part or in whole. And you know that Tenisha has said she's available for you. So please reach out to her as you are starting to build what your summers are looking like, especially this summer, how important this is. Please use your resources. I just want to remind everybody too that everything we've been doing all month long is available on our website, njsac.org, and there'll be another SAC flash wrapping up what we've been doing all month long coming out this Friday. So Tenisha, thank you very much for sharing what you do and obviously your passion for this work. And is there anything upcoming that we should be checking out or looking for coming from the Nature Conservancy? And I know is this still Blackbirding Week?
Yes. So,
okay. So tell me about those things.
Yes. Blackbirders Week is a social movement that was formed out of the incident that took place last year in Central Park with Christian Cooper. I won't call her I will, Karen, right? And there's a pretty robust social movement encouraging people of color, particularly Black people, to get out and bird and make more people aware that Blackbirders exist, right? And we are avid birders just like everybody else, and birding is an activity for everyone. It's an inclusive activity. So Blackbirders Week is a national movement. It's, like I said, it's very social media friendly. It's more of a social media campaign. The Nature Conservancy is not leading this effort. We're leaving the charge to the individuals that have founded Blackbirders Week, but we are retweeting, we are reposting, we are resharing resources, and also featuring local Blackbirders on our social media platforms. So you can follow the Nature Conservancy on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. You can go to our website and you'll see the handles for all of those platforms, and just follow the movement in general. So that is one activity. And then there are a couple of field visits that are going to be coming up, opportunities to do some marsh inventory counting by paddle boat. That's in the southern part of the state. My colleague that I mentioned earlier, who does the horseshoe crab inventory, she's going to be looking for volunteers to assist with that. That information I can send to you separately, Sarah, for you to blast to those that are on today's call. There's a mini training that you take online to participate, but definitely open to any hands to want to come out and explore. And then lastly, like, I am always just looking to connect with individuals and groups to just learn and understand more about how folks could be thinking about environmental related work in the spaces that they are. So opportunities to understand gaps in services, opportunities to advance missions around environmental focus and attention. I'd love to participate in that. So I'm happy to do like one-on-one conversations around those things.
And I think too, just telling kids about your job and your career and how, that's a resource as well. I wanted to add that in because, yes, I love to see more people like in more places. So with that, everyone, Tanisha, I thank you for your time. And I just, again, remind everybody about this resource and this person is, more importantly, a person willing and able to talk to you and walk you through and support you as you explore this. So everyone, thank you for joining us on today's Lunch and Learn. This is the last one, but we might lunch and learn about future topics down the line. So make sure you stay connected to NJSAC and check out your SAC Flash with updates on what we're doing. So thank you all. I'm going to give you back your time, and thank you again for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you, Tanisha. And
Thank
Sarah.
you.
Bye.
Thank you, Tanisha.
Bye.
Thanks, Sarah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Oh.
I'm so
Sorry, hold
sorry. That was my house.
Hold on, I'm gonna put Kelly in the waiting room. Okay. Was that your toilet?
No, that you did you hear Jack say, Mom, I was so mad today?
Oh no, I heard a toilet flush.
Oh, that was not me.
I was like, that
That
wasn't
was
you,
not me.
Jessica. I think that
No.
was Kelly. I think it was Kelly.
That was totally not me. But I was unmuted for a second and Jack came in. He was like, Mom, I was so angry today. And I was like,
No, I didn't hear that at all. I thought you'd hear what was going on. Hold on, let me make sure everybody else is out of this meeting. Okay.
that was good.
Thanks, because I was like, she was a little bit like up here, and I was like trying to get her to come down. You know what I mean?
I
Like,
think she was good though.
she was great. I just was like, I couldn't keep. It's me. I'm stupid.
It was great.
Thanks, babe.
It's even better now that I know that Jack saying, I'm so angry is not on the thing.
No, I thought you were when you said it was me. I was like, you did not flush your toilet.
No,
You
because
did
it
not
happened
do
at the same time.
That's so funny. Well, the flush drowned out Jack.
Thank God. Jack was like, oh, Zoom is so stupid.
This morning I totally burped in our kit training. I thought I was on mute. It was like a I was like, yeah. So hi,
Guess who's
college
back?
friends.
Hi, guess what? I was by Rutgers today because I had to bring Spirit to her meet and greet at the Barker Lounge in East Brunswick.
Oh, what's
There's so much to unpack just from that sentence.
yeah.
The dogs had to go to a free day where they meet and greet and get tested and get approved if they can go to Barker Lounge.